During this session, we're actually going to run a demonstration on creating a file system within BSD Unix using the sysinstall utility. Now we're actually installing a version of BSD, the latest one out there at the time of this recording, which is BSD version 8, the stable version, and we're actually going to use the sysinstall utility to create the file system that we've put together on BSD 8. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. We're in the setup menu for FreeBSD 8. What we need to do is go ahead and just step through the installation. What we're going to look at is a standard installation, and the first thing that will get us is the fdisk type of menuing system that sysinstall uses. So we're going to say OK, and right now we have an 8 gig disk that has nothing on it. So what we want to do is create a slice. Now let's go ahead and create a slice, and we're only going to use a small amount of this. Let's go ahead and use a 2 gigabyte slice, and we'll say OK to that. And we're going to use a native FreeBSD slice, which is type 165. We could put 6 for a DOS FAT, 131 for a Linux ext2 file system, or 130 for a Linux swap. Let's go ahead with a 165 and choose the FreeBSD native. And so now we have a FreeBSD slice there. It's only 2 gig, and that's alright. Let's go ahead, and if you notice, it's on DA0S1. Well, that is a SCSI disk, not a serial ATA or an IDE. Notice earlier when we in some of our demonstrations we were looking at AD0. Well, that is an ATA or IDE. This is DA0, which is a SCSI. So we've got a SCSI disk that we're using, and we've created it on slice 1. Let's go ahead and do another slice. Let's go ahead and put 1 gigabyte on there, and we're going to use that for our swap. So let's go ahead and put a swap partition on here, and we're going to use a 130 as well. So now we have a Linux swap, and we're going to say OK to that. We're going to go ahead and go to Q. We're going to install a standard MBR. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and use the FreeBSD boot manager, which, as we learned earlier, is boot 0. And we're going to say OK to that. We need to create some BSD partitions in there, so let's say OK. And this is the FreeBSD disk label editor, and this is the same as BSD label, that command. So we can create some mount points here. So let's go ahead and do a C, and we can leave this with the 2 gig here, and we're going to say it's a file system, and we're going to specify the root as the mount point, because this is going to be our basic file system where everything else is. We're going to say OK, and that's what we're going to use. And we put that on DA0S1A, which is the SCSI disk 0 / 1 partition A, and that's our mount point. And it's the 2 gig partition we just created, or 2 gig slice rather, we just created a few minutes ago. So as you can see, sysinstall actually works very well to create a slice and partition information, to create a swap, and to create standard file system, a UFS file system under FreeBSD.